as far as Barranquilla, as far as your own personal perception of Barranquilla with dating, what how would you take as far as dating in Barranquilla? How is it compared for you?
Um, I would say I've dated one girl that was from Barranquilla. Um, and and so the first part is how do you date, or how do you get to date to, how do you get to that point of dating? And
Hmm.
so for me it was online searching with the Cupid sites they have, Colombian
Hmm.
Cupid and Latin American Cupid. And so I met a young lady from Baranquilla from the website, and I want base I want project her personality on the whole city. But what I've noticed just from her circle of friends and people she's been around, a lot of people, women in particular, are kind of up on game and up on things with American culture.
How dare
So
you?
Barranquilla is, I would say, in Colombia, is probably one of the more educated cities. Um, people learn English, in grade school through high school. So there's a lot of people that speak fluent English, real good English in Barranquilla.
Nice.
And then there's a lot more job opportunities in Barranquilla as well. So women that she's introduced me to either had American or foreign husbands. Um, they kind of have set expectations on, if you date a foreigner, this is what you're gonna get from dating a foreigner. So they're kind of, so they kind of have, in Barranquilla, the women kind of have, predetermined expectations from foreigners. The girl I was dating, she was probably a little disappointed because she probably thought I was going to be sending money all the time and stuff like that. you know,
You know how that goes.
and they play their, they, for the most part, they play their role if they feel like you meet their expectations. But Barranquilla, out of all the cities, I feel like, they're programmed to expect certain things from Americans because they see, because a lot of um, marriages and relationships, I would say the most in Colombia are in Barranquilla, international
Okay.
relationships.
And one thing I would say that they talk to a lot of the women, man, they love to talk. If one person is married or dating a American guy, they're gonna let everybody know. And I noticed that in Colombia, like they have this I guess this perception of, if you're dating a gringo guy or whatever, that your life is supposed to be grand, it's supposed to be nice, you should never have any worries, and that Americans have tons of money. It's like,
Jesus.
yeah, it's not like that. I mean, we got money, but we're not looking to do all of that. What they're expecting us to do is like,
How dare you?
uh,
I don't
you
know
know,
if you remember, but you ever seen like on WhatsApp, like it was like a comedy clip. It was like these four Colombian women, and one of them had a gringo boyfriend. They was all talking in Spanish, but they didn't know he understood
oh
Spanish. And
yeah,
then when he understood, and he was like, because she was like, because they was like, how was the sex in the Spanish? They was like, it's okay, but he takes care of me. But then he knew what they were saying, and then once he knew what they were saying, they looked embarrassed. But I don't know if you
yeah.
remember that or not.
Yeah, I remember that, and then at the same time, she was still messing with the ex or some other guy.
You big dummy.
so,
That was
so he told
Barranquilla. Those those
him,
those women were Barranquilla.
oh man, that's funny, you know. But hey, James, he got a question here. He says here, what's cheaper, Colombia or Thailand?
I would say, and if you're looking at an overall trip, I mean, it could even out. You're gonna pay a more expensive flight to go to Thailand, of course, but accommodations, food, and even extracurricular activities is way cheaper than Colombia. But Colombia, the flight is a third or half the cost. So you know what I mean. So it's just a difference between maybe 500 to $1,000 if you want to compare the overall trip expense.
And I'm
for
sure
tricking
different
for
seasons
tricking
too.
for tricking expense.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm sure different season too. Of course, for flights, it's cheaper certain during certain seasons, and of course, same thing with Colombia. What I've noticed, going to Colombia in December is extremely expensive. This past in 2020, when I went out there, I was paying about $800 per
Jesus
flight, and I'm just like,
Mm,
oh god,
really?
yeah. Well, of course, I don't fly Spirit. That's the thing. I don't, I hate Spirit. Those that know me, I've had some bad experience. I know people that have some bad experience with Spirit, and I don't want to run into any situation, especially since I have to have a layover from Colombia to get to Chicago. So it's either going to be in Florida or Fort Lauderdale, and I've had some bad experience, and I just don't want to have a situation that they cancel my flight while I'm Fort Lauderdale, and I have to
Spirit
pay another
is
$1,000.
Spirit is good, man, for international travel. Domestic travel, not so much, but I don't know. I love Spirit, man.
It's okay. 'Cause, me, I usually fly American or, United, some of the bigger ones, if I can. But I prefer American because it makes it easier for me to get down there from Chicago. It's a direct flight. I mean, from Miami. If I could go from Chicago straight to Miami, that's 2.5 hours right there for me. Then another, 2 hours to get to Medellin or whatever. So it just makes it easier. United, you're going to be going from ORD from Chicago straight to sometimes Texas, I believe, and then Texas to
Mm.
maybe Bogota or something like that. So that is something that I try to avoid that time from traveling. But so here, let me have another question for you. So what is unique about the women of Barranquilla compared to all the other women if you dealt with as far as Colombia? Because I know that I'm sure you dealt with a couple, from Medellin and Cartagena. But what sets the women from Barranquilla apart from all the other women?
Oh man, I would say Baranquilla has a lot of. Well, I would say Baranquilla has a lot of potential. I mean, the women there are, they're working. They're working 9 to 5 women. Um, so I would say you're more likely to find a woman, with a job, and that's not independent. They like to go out. Barranquilla has a lot of nice like bars and restaurants. They have like a little area where people go on the weekends and things like that. Um, they do have um, they have a. It's not as bad as Medellin, but they do have a flake culture, meaning you could be stood up or something like that. Um,
Have you dealt with that or so personally while you were in Barranquilla?
I mean, not far as dating, but I mean like giving chicks my number and they never called. You know, stuff like that. I've experienced. But for the most part, I would say the city itself. I mean, there's a lot of places where you could go to see women, and Barranquilla was the city where I broke my neck a lot of times.
Jesus Christ.
You know, and I was surprised because Medellin, was a city like that. But Barranquilla has a lot. I would say they have just as much many beautiful women as Medellin. A lot of people kind of sleep on Barranquilla. Um, as far as how they look, they're mostly of the whiter complexion, but they have a slight tan, so you could kind of tell they're from the coast. Um,
Oh
but
yeah.
they don't. They're not as dark as women from like Cartagena or anything like that.
Sophia Rugara, she's actually from there. She's on the Modern Family. She's originally from Barranquilla, if I'm not
Oh,
mistaken,
really?
as what's the name? That singer. She actually got the song out with Black Eyed Peas. Shakira. She's actually
Okay,
from
Shakira. Yeah,
Barranquilla.
I will
Yeah.
say that if guys are looking for you know the women to be there to be easy from dating perspective, I won't say I want to say that like you're gonna have to go on a few dates. Um, what I mean, you're gonna have to put in some work. What I mean, not matrix work, but you're gonna have to put in a little work. What I mean, but if you're visiting and you're there for a week or 2 weeks, or if you've been talking to someone, from a dating site for a while, you should be able to you should be able to have a good experience when you're down there.
All right, nice, nice. So, what is the typical, let's say, the body type of women from Barranquilla? Because we already talked on the skin complexion and everything, but are they like pretty thin or thick or how would you describe them?
I would say they're mostly on the thinner side. I mean, they're you won't see a lot of overweight women. I mean, you'll just see slender, lean stomach. Um, I would say they're not as they're not as, I would say, curvaceous as, like, let's say, women in, like, Medellin, or Cali. But I mean, they're beautiful in the face. There's a variety of different type of body types, and I don't know, man. I've seen some very curvaceous women. I've seen some very slim women. Typical long hair, shoulder length, mid back length. Um, it's it's not necessarily a distinct look, but like I said before, they have slight tan, so you can tell they're from the color.
Oh yeah, yeah. What about the hair? Because yeah, I got a thing for Colombians with black hair. That's why I spent a lot of time in Medellin because I love that black hair with their skin tone. So, um, what
not
about the hair?
not black. I mean, most of the women is like a sand. It's more like a sandy brown, dark brown, but no, not like the jet black you would see in Medellin.
Okay, okay. It's just like what we see from Sophia and Shakira, kind of that color, basically. So many words, when Shakira before she dyed her hair,
Yeah,
so many words when she first came out.
yeah.
So, from your perspective, since you had a chance to date one girl out there, so and you say you use dating apps, which what are all the dating apps that you actually used to even find either pipeline these whatever girl you wanted to do to find to try to get to know them?
I mean, I've tried Tinder. I mean, with Tinder in Barranquilla, um, I mean, you'll definitely get some matches. I would say the positive thing with Barranquilla is, like I said, a lot of the women are working women. You won't
Hmm.
really find too many women that's have an agenda. Women in Barranquilla, they want to go out, they want to have a good time, they want to have drinks, go to eat, things like that. So that's what you will kind of expect from Tinder. But on, like I said, Latin American Cupid or ColombianCupid.com, that's where I met, my ex from Barranquilla there. Um, so those are the main three.